Come July 16th, political activities in Osun State will reach its climax as residents of voting age go to the polls to elect the governor that will pilot affairs of the state for the next 4 years. Bolaji Akim in this report takes a look at the political history of Osun State.
Political struggle and other activities in the present-day Osun started as early as the 50s during the political era. That was when the agitation for autonomy by Osun indigenes started. Then the present senatorial districts, namely Osun West, Osun Central and part of Osun East, were subordinate towns under the administration of Ibadan District Native Authority. The political agitation for autonomy came to reality in 1991 when Osun State was created from the old Oyo State by General Ibrahim Babangida's administration.
When we were in the old Oyo State, there was a period we have a governor for Oyo State. That was late Uncle Bola Ige. His deputy is from Osun Division of Oyo State. His deputy governor then, Chief S.M. Afolabi, was also from Osun Division of Oyo State. And the secretary to the state government then, Chief Adebisi Akande, was also from Osun Division. That is to tell you the kind of influence that our political leaders from Osun Division of the old Oyo State and even the entire old Western States, the kind of influence that they wield.
With the creation, the need and search for the first democratic system started in 1992 with two political parties, namely Social Democratic Party, SDP, and National Republican Convention, NRC, signaling the commencement of the Third Republic. The SDP, through Senator Isiaka Adeleke, won the election.
He used to do his campaigns in the air using a helicopter, dropping, what do you call it? Yes. But when the state was created, he wanted to be governor in Old Oyo. He gained more momentum when the state was split and he became a smaller state.
Political activities in the Osun State was put on hold, just like any other state in the country between 1993 and 1999 due to military incursion. In 1999, stakeholders in political circles dusted their political strategy, with Osun State not lagging behind. The political tango was between two major political parties, namely Alliance for Democracy and People's Democratic Party. The election was won by the candidate of Alliance for Democracy, Chief B.C. Akande, who directed the affairs of the state for 4 years between May 29, 1999 to May 29, 2003. From May 2003 to 2007, the People's Democratic Party took over the reign of power when Olagunsoye Oyinlola was declared the winner of the governorship election. His second-term tenure was nullified on the 26th of November 2010 by a court judgment after 3.5 years in office. The judgment declared Action Congress candidate Rauf Aregbesola as the governor.
It has changed the dynamics of Osun politics, taking it back to the days of the B.C. Akande. So we have had two political, not parties, but political entities, as it were.
The day of the election, that was the 14th of April 2007. It was the most brutal election that we had in the history of politicking around here. About 14 people lost their life defending their rights to choose a governor of their choice.
Action Congress, AC, which later changed to All Progressives Congress, APC, since 2010, has produced the democratically elected governor of Osun State till date. The stage is now set for the people of Osun to elect another governor from 15 political parties that will take part in 2022 governorship election on Saturday, 16th of July. In Osogbo, Bolaji Akim, NTA News.
The stage is indeed set and the studio is also set here. With me in the studio here, We have Professor Victor Adetola, University of Just Department of Political Science and a Senior Fellow at Center for Democracy and Development, CDD. Welcome to Osun Design Studio.
Thank you very much.
It's my pleasure having you. And the security is also beefed up here, just as we have 21,000 personnel in Osun State. I have with me in the studio also Bala Shiroma, is Assistant Inspector General Police in charge of Federal Operations, Nigeria Force Headquarters, Abuja. Welcome to Osun Site.
Thank you. Good evening.
So let's begin on that note. Are the 21,000 police personnel deployed in Osun State and other security agencies, some consider that as an intimidation? Is it truly or for their safety?
I don't think it is it amounts to an intimidation. It is just a show of how prepared we are to ensure that election is conducted in a free and fair manner within that environment.
So are you in touch with your men there, and why is the feedback like? Are we getting some flashes of violence, or no flashpoint at all, and all is safe?
No, maybe before I go into giving you a report of what is happening there, I'll give you a picture of what we did to ensure that we maintain law and order before, during, and after the elections. These are the stages in which we made our arrangements. Therefore, we had activities that were meant to ensure that we maintain stability crime-wise in that environment before the election. And these constitutes are made up of anti-crime activities such as raids. We conducted a lot of raids to ensure that criminals are not allowed to have a field day in that particular location. We deployed a lot of surveillance to ensure that threats are identified before time and dealt with appropriately. There are a lot of vehicular and foot patrol to also ensure that visibility is enhanced in that particular environment. In fact, this instance, we even have aerial patrols to ensure that the surveillance is foolproof, so to speak.
Okay, we'll get back to you shortly, but let's also hear from the academic environment. What is your comment on the build-up to the Osun governorship election? From that report, the history has been a quite rich one. Some court judgments, removing governors, sometime opposition parties taking over. A lot of history there. What is the make of it?
Maybe one should connect straight from the security point. And I think what is happening is a conscious effort not to take any chance, given the history of election in that region. Besides, I think we have seen a progressive improvement derived from lessons learned from previous elections. So all aspects of our electoral process is responding more strategically. And of course, like you said, we had the history of electoral behavior in that zone is such that nobody wants to take any chance. Of course, most recently, we had the Ekiti election. And of course, the Osun State election is very significant in many respects, some general and some specific to Osun State. This is going to be the last off-cycle election, and the stakes are very hard for all the critical stakeholders.
Okay, so what are you having any fears about probable conflict of interest? Because we have a sitting governor in Ekiti State. The governor was leaving, the incumbent was leaving, Fahim was leaving, so it was a contest between fresh candidates. But here we have a sitting governor. Are you foreseeing some power play there, being an incumbent?
Not necessarily fear. I would rather say concerns. And the concerns are not solely about incumbency. No. About the general environment. What is happening, the general context. And like I said, the stakes are very high. Interest in also election go beyond the incumbents. There are concerns and interests even at the national level. I mean, in the past few days, we see the caliber of political gladiators that have visited that place. Also, it's almost becoming a mini Mecca. I mean, very colorful campaign, very engaging. So, I mean, it's not only about incumbency, and of course, we cannot ignore any of the factors, both those within Osun State and even outside, because there are interests that are extraneous to Osun State.
Okay, let's get back to AIG. We have 3,763 polling units, and we have 21,000 personnel from the police force on ground. And on election days, it's a common sight where VIPs are always more with the police. The police are more with the VIPs. What measures is the police force taking to ensure that all strata of the society are protected, including ordinary voters?
Well, let me start with deployments to polling units. This time around, we are deploying to polling units by name. We've done a lot of analysis, threat analysis, so on and so forth, and adequate deployments are made to ensure that there is no breakdown of law and order. Take for an example the 3 senatorial units. We have deployments of police mobile personnel within these locations. Areas where the attendance is or previous history of tension in that particular location, adequate deployments have been made to ensure that there is no breakdown of law and order around such areas. In respect of VIPs, don't forget that there will be restriction of movements, and no VIP will be allowed with police personnel on election day. This is all in a bid to ensure that there is no use of security personnel in any of the polling booths.
Okay, logistics is another issue. Some of your men will be going to polling units where maybe they have to cross rivers and all that, and safety is very important, because we don't pray for any accident or mishap, but we have to be proactive. Safety wise, what efforts are in place to ensure that those especially going to the riverine areas are adequately protected in terms of life jacket and rest?
Well, that is being provided, because going to riverine areas, it is usual that adequate safety measures such as life jackets must be provided, most especially because we have some that cannot swim. And I want you to note also that there is adequate deployment in all those locations. As I said, no single individual is being posted to a polling unit alone. There will be 2-3 people in each of the polling units to ensure that they are adequately protected. We are quite aware that those posted to polling units are unarmed. We are also making provisions within the closest distance to ensure that these unarmed men are also given adequate protection by our men that are armed, who are not necessarily deployed to polling units, but they will remain at a distance where they will be able to ensure that there is security of all persons at polling units.
Okay, let's get to Professor Victor. You have also from CDD. That means you have a lot about electoral issues and logistics wise. Issue of INEC officials getting to the polling units late sometimes. It's been a perennial problem. So what advice will you give to INEC so that the officials can be deployed early?
Well, at CDD, what we are doing is doing the monitoring and tracking of all aspects of the electoral process, and using data so that our analysis are evidence-based, not just hearsay. And of course, there are a lot of analysis and a lot of study. Where things are today, as at yesterday, the Election Analysis Center has issued a first statement, that is not only for INEC, but other critical stakeholders in the electoral process. And part of it is deploying more than 300 monitors to ensure as much as possible compliance with regulations. And if any unwholesome attitude on the part of any player is observed, of course, there are laid out channels to make that available and to pass that information and message to the appropriate protest.
And your center has also released a statement on its observations build up to the election. Can you share that content with us? What are the things you observed? This is the content of that release.
Yeah, of course, there are so many aspects of it, but in a nutshell, one is our observation, general observation about the electoral environment in Osun State to date, and to say, okay, these are areas of improvement, and these are areas where things need to improve. For instance, the peace accord was signed, which signaled the commitment of all players to free and fair election.
Yeah.
But even within that, there are rumors of things happening. For instance, that a particular political party was denied access to a venue for campaign. Well, we had that as rumor, but it is our belief that at the end of the day, everybody, all hands will be on deck to ensure level playing ground for all. Of course, we also recognize the deployment of sensitive and non-sensitive material timely. We also have our monitors around to ensure that it gets to the appropriate place at the right time and election take off as stipulated.
Okay, before we join our colleague in Osun State, let's get some from the AIG. Election will start at 8:30 a.m.
Yeah.
And this night is also a critical night, a night before the election.
Yeah.
What measures are in place this night, and when is the enforcement for no movement, restriction of movement starting in Osun State?
Well, it's starting at 12 midnight, restriction of movement starting at 12 midnight through the elections until the elections is over. As I told you, a lot of anti-crime measures are being put in place to ensure that there is stability, crime security-wise in the environment. This will involve a lot of raids, a lot of patrols, a lot of surveillance. Don't forget that we also have the responsibility of ensuring that all electoral materials are also escorted to their respective racks, and also securing these racks. These are the activities that we are so much involved in this night.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll still get back to it. But my colleague Fisayo Ogunfe is already in Osogbo, with leading our team there. Oh, he's up there. He's wearing the cap depicted. So it's time to talk once again. We still have AIG in the studio. From the professor in Osogbo, he made mention of vote trading, which is a major issue in contemporary politics. But EFCC, here we talk about interagency collaboration. What efforts are you making with other security agencies so that these sad scenes, some of them we saw in Ekiti, can be addressed in these Osun elections?
Well, you are aware of the Interagency Consultative Security Committee on Electoral Security, which comprises of INEC and all security agencies. We work together there is a lot of collaboration between security agencies to ensure that we deliver during these elections. Deliver in the sense that we create an enabling environment in which there will be free and fair elections in Osun State. We've analyzed some of the problems we had in Ekiti, and we've put measures to ensure that they do not repeat themselves in.
Can you share with us, we know there are security issues, but can you share with us so that even civil societies like Professor Victor can look out for such situations? What are some of the experiences you had that you need to address in this case?
Well, just as you said, one of the issues that was observed during the last election of that of vote buying, and the EFCC, along with the Nigerian police force, have raised courts that are specifically mandated to check this kind of crimes. Violence. We've done threat analysis of the areas in Osun, and we've ensured that there will be an adequate deployment of security agencies. As I said, there is a lot of synergy and collaboration between security agencies to ensure that we contain whatever situation that may arise.
Are we giving clear-cut directives to your men on ground? Because you will be giving directives, they will be there on the polling units in terms of vote buying. So what directive did you give to them?
A lot of trainings have taken place. A lot of trainings have taken place specifically on elections, and this has been cascaded down to the men. I told you earlier that we've enhanced the quality of supervision. In this election in particular, in Osun, we have a DIG, we have 4 AIGs and about 5 CPs deployed to ensure that there's proper supervision of the men.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's hear from the civil society about this vote trading issue.
Yes.
Do you think the security agencies are doing enough? Because probably you are being on the field in some elections. What area do you think they need to still build up in to stem this rising case of vote trading?
Well, I will start by acknowledging the level of collaboration, like the AIG has mentioned that it has scaled up. That is one point. And let's look at the background again. If we are talking about the lack of issue-based campaigns, as colorful as the campaigns have been, very lacking in terms of the issue. So that suggests that there are other motivations, or there will be other things to motivate the people. Be that as it may, the responsibility to reduce the use of money in electoral process is not limited to the security agencies. One of the panelists has said for that to happen, there has to be a giver
and taker.
So we have to engage the solution at both levels. We talk about the efficiency of the law enforcement, security, but we also talk about the people. And it can be very tricky because there is provision that, okay, the voting material has to be visible. It's not something you hide. So, and to control that, I think we must acknowledge that INEC has gone some step further, given the lesson learned from the previous election.
Yeah.
That, okay, INEC has established a system, hotlines, whereby the people themselves, on the assumption that they are convinced that this is evil, this will not encourage fairness. The people have the hotlines to use to report. Police and other agencies can only engage when the people report that, oh, we suspect this is happening. And the hotlines is already made available.
Intelligence.
So that's the kind of engagement. And this, we have to note, can only come when the people's electoral behavior also has changed. When the people themselves have resolved that, look, no to money politics. And I think this is
So another issue is about voters' apathy. Percentage is really dropping. For instance, in Anambra State, it was not even up to 20-25%. And Ekiti was quite okay. But what are the factors responsible? Is it lack of campaigns or sensitization?
Yeah, of course, the first statement that CDD issued yesterday, it was very clear that, look, voter turnout will likely influence the legitimacy and acceptance of this election. And of course, we must also acknowledge that there have been a lot of mobilization. The way Nigerians in the past 2 weeks have turned out in response to the extension of the
Voters registration.
I mean, it's encouraging. So if we look at that level, we have a conviction, we have reason to believe that we will not have so much of the challenge of voters' apathy. And if you also link that with the situation that, okay, there is enthusiasm on the part of even the voters, just like there is scale up interest on the part of the gladiators, and to the extent that they've been convinced that, look, you are secure, security is not the challenge, and I think we may have a significant improvement on Ekiti record. Of course, we know that more than Ekiti, Osun is a very, it's a bigger state. But one point, I had some panelists talk about topography. I don't think that will create more challenge and affect voters' turnout. You see, I later on talk about the deployment of technology. There have been a progressive movement in that. And what technology does for us is to to help us to achieve some level of efficiency.
Yes.
You conquer time and you conquer space. And I think we are getting
Yes, also reduce electoral violence, ballot box, smashing things. So, AIG, let's talk security again.
Yeah.
The state is really sharing borders with boundaries with so many states. That makes it vulnerable for hoodlums to come from those entry points and the exit ones. So what measures do we have in terms of ensuring that criminals are not exported or imported from neighboring states to cause mayhem?
Well, just as I told you earlier on that we've done a threat analysis, and this threat analysis includes surveillance of the probable routes that will be used by hoodlums to come into the state with a view to disrupting the elections. These areas have been properly identified, and they're already being properly manned, and they're under surveillance and are being properly manned. Not just by us, by other security agencies, as I told you, in collaboration with us. There's a lot of synergy. So I want to assure in the case of Osun that are going to vote tomorrow that this is adequately taken care of. All entry and exit points will be properly manned. Those that are visible and those that we picked out through intelligence will also be properly manned. Osun will be secured tomorrow.
Okay, you told us your men have been well trained, no doubt about that. But sometimes can't be 100% in terms of conduct. So what advice will you give to your men, or in this case, what directive will you give to your men and advice to the citizens so that they will collaborate, work peacefully hand in hand with the security agencies so that we won't have any crisis?
Just as the professor said, there are lessons learned from previous elections that we've witnessed. Osun Ekiti election was well praised because of the measures that were put in place by the Inspector General of Police and other security agencies. Observations have been made, and this time around the IG decided to ensure that there is more supervision to reduce, if not totally eliminate, issues where complaints are brought about by the conduct of our men at polling booths.
Do we have any example probably from previous elections where your men were penalized that can serve as a deterrent to others?
Well, I want to assure you that we take disciplinary measures against any member of the force.
And in terms of interagency rivalry, sometimes you may say we may not experience it, but it's a fact. Interagency rivalry. Just as you advise citizens to collaborate, your police is the leading security agency in terms of election security. That means you have control over others. So what advice will you give to others like civil defense and road safety?
Well, let me tell you, there is a paradigm shift in terms of security in this country. The situations in which we found ourselves has brought about the need that there must be synergy between security agencies. Heads of all security agencies are hammering on the fact that there must be synergy. Yes. This definitely has reduced or brought to almost nil the issues of interagency rivalry. We realize that all hands must be on deck to secure Nigerians. And our aim, once you, depending on whatever, not minding whatever security agency you belong to, we have the responsibility of securing Nigeria and Nigerians. And that is the goal of all security agencies now.
Okay, let's come to Prof again. You know, Ekiti is a smaller state compared to Osun because in terms of size and land mass or everything, population. And from the reports we saw, about 70 to 80% of the population, civil service, artisans and all that. Will that affect the behavior of the voting behavior for tomorrow's election?
Not necessarily. There are no direct correlation between the type of profession and voters' behavior. Known for now, you know. And an intervening variable is the level of civic and political education. And this is why we call on the civil society organization and as well as the political parties to talk to the people. And that's why we are so disappointed in terms of the lack of issue-based campaign, so that the people can have correct political assessment and judgment, so that issues that will affect who emerges is not about the primordial factors in terms of what religion, what culture you belong to. So it is not so much whether I'm a professor or I'm an artisan. It is about my political judgment. So in addition to what the civil society is already doing in terms of sensitizing and raising awareness, there has to be very concrete political education. Unfortunately, the political parties are lacking significantly in this area. All we have is the colorful campaign.
Yeah, let's get back to you. You know, when you give instruction, directive that there will be no movement, restriction of movement during that period, sometimes the voter may trek a distance before getting to the polling units. What happens to people voters that fall within that category?
I think I could have been in a better position to answer that question, because what I know is that most of the registration is done within areas within which you reside. So those are exceptions. Right? Somebody wanting to move from one location to another, that's an exception. The majority of the people that will be involved in the elections are persons that reside within their polling units.
And those on essential duties,
and those on essential duties definitely will be allowed to go around.
And the men have been properly educated?
They have. Just as at the beginning of this interaction we're having with you, I told you that, look, we phased in our activities into 3. segmented them into three. The first segment was, what do we do to ensure stability in Osun before the elections? These were strictly anti-crime measures which we carried out in collaboration with the other agencies, and that is why we have the relative stability we have now. Right? Now our next phase will be properly manning the election day, that is tomorrow. So this has to do with adequate deployment, moving the men on time to locations, and ensuring that there is a free and fair election. We have already mobilized enough personnel for this. All the security agencies are complementing us. So I want to give assurance that tomorrow adequate deployments will be made and will ensure that there is no breakdown.
Let me ask you a question.
Now, after that, after the elections, there is the issue of post-elections, celebrations, so on and so forth, bring also a lot of things.
Exactly.
This has also been factored into our planning, and we know the kind of deployments we'll make so that there is no breakdown of law and order in terms of when the parties who might have lost and won are celebrating.
Yes. So let me ask a question to put it to AIG.
Yeah.
It will also interest Victor, because how is the relationship with civil societies in terms of when you say no movement, are the civil societies under essential or they are restricted as well?
Well, as I told you, all persons that are considered under essential will properly be accredited,
including CSs,
given to everyone that is part of it. Right? They are monitors and they fall under CSs. They will be accredited and they'll be given due recognition to move around.
Victor, actually that from previous elections, have you been having that free rides during the election time when you want to monitor?
There cannot be free rides if we have to keep things, in order, because the process has to be monitored. If you are, like is already said by the AIG, if you are an accredited monitor, you have your badge and your other insignia to identify you. And I don't think our security personnel, they are not tabula rasa. They can make judgment as who is a potential risk or not. I think that, but having said that, there are unanticipated development triggers. Oh, I want to go there. Oh, they don't want me to go.
Yeah.
That you see, those are the things now we have to now talk to all parties to, as much as possible, avoid this kind of triggers. Before you know it, something as little as don't move there can become, oh, it is against our party. That's one level. Another level is fake news. Oh, it is our people, they are burning there. Without even knowing, and that's why some civil society like CDD has also trained monitors to track news and check facts, so that some of this will not become...
Fake news is quite a serious issue, because when I was in Anambra State last in November, the elections, we got a video message that all those that are lodging in hotels should leave, that IPOP is coming to kill all of us. And really some of our friends were leaving, but throughout the period Anambra was even quite peaceful. So let's from there talk to AIG again, please. How are you trying to manage situations like this when issues like that arise? For instance, during elections, how do you address them? This issue of fake news is quite a big issue.
It is really disturbing, and it is one of the challenges we have. But we've ensured that we've opened channels of communication with members of the public. We've taken some steps which are planned measures to boost confidence in members of the public, high visibility, constant patrols, surveillance, both vehicular and foot patrols, surveillance, both from the ground and from aerial surveillance. These are things that we hope we build confidence, and then we'll open a channel of communication. We'll be able to pick out things before they degenerate to situations that are undesirable. Pick out fake news, try to verify, and then we'll quickly get to the press and send out what our own version with. It serves to douse a lot of tension.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. We will still get back, but let's visit our host. That is Osogbo, our Osogbo studio. Officer is still there. Let's hear from him what is happening there, the latest.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm indeed your host. I have to also challenge the people of Osun. We have myself and my colleague Namdo. The people say you have not actually visited the place until you check out the cuisine. But we've just been in the studio for the past 2 days. But we'll try and see that is corrected before we return to Abuja. But Professor Oyedokun is right here with me. For this last leg. Mr. Ayologun took permission, is going to perform a civic duty 1 or 2 hours away from here tomorrow morning, and he will be back in the studio tomorrow morning, so we had to let him go. But we've been talking, Prof, about the expectation of the people, what the people should be looking out for. There are some areas that we've not really touched, and that is the election management body. This is another opportunity for them to tell Nigerians that they are ready for the big one next year. Osun is perhaps the last frontier to test at a large scale technology, readiness of staff, resilience of staff, interaction with the voting populace, and all the things that have been deployed to the field. We will feedback from Nigerian voters as far as some of the new things they've brought on to bring inclusiveness into the voting process. So, what are your expectations at this time? And perhaps there are any challenges that you may be envisaging you can share with us.
Thank you. Let's start with the electoral umpire itself, the INEC. Well, there were apprehensions in Anambra, you recall, because of the general insecurity at that time. Incidentally and luckily, we had it good, and even Mr. President was applauded for being impartial in the entire electoral process. Then coming to Ekiti, just about a month ago, there were high hopes among the political gladiators there, and because what Ekiti is known for, there's this tradition that you cannot win election at one straight. You cannot be re-elected until probably you lose and come back again. So there were apprehensions. Luckily, also we had it good in Ekiti, and everybody applauded. Even INEC itself had promised that Osun will be better. And I have been able to, I've had the privilege, rather, to monitor election in more than 5-6 states. Been to Edo, I've been to Ondo, been to Ekiti in the last 4-5 years. Even the last one in Osun. What I can say is we need to commend INEC. INEC, starting from Jega era, has been able to deploy technology. Let's start with the card reader. Now there's a new thing. I forgot the name.
BVAS.
The BVAS now.
Yes. System.
Now, in the 1979-83 election, some of us were very young. But it's possible for some hoodlums to come and start ballot box or stuff it now. One thing that is important is that people should know that if there is one vote in excess of accredited voters, that polling something will be cancelled. And so it is in the interest of voters in that particular polling booth to ensure that they guard their votes jealously, to ensure that there are no manipulations. And where in Nigeria, I'm sorry to say this, people may be able to dance around when there's a technology, but sincerely speaking, I would say that the INEC preparedness is almost foolproof. One, we already have the number of registered voters. There's no way we can have the same number as accredited voters. Some people it cannot be in excess. Definitely to be fewer number of people. And of those who came around, technology is deployed to ascertain the veracity of the PVC. And once that is done, the party agents are there, so manipulations can be very difficult, if not impossible. And so, with what is done in Ekiti, in Anambra, one can be rest assured that INEC has prepared, and we can only hope that the best will happen tomorrow in Osun State. Apart from that, like I said, Osun State is a place where people are politically conscious. All these things about problems of who to do what, you can hardly have somebody who is underage to come out to vote, because he knows the implication. People here are law abiding, and that's why Osun State appears to be the most secure place in Nigeria today, because of law abiding citizens. The mantra is Omoluabi, state of the virtue. So you, unlike in some places we have had underage voters, whatever, that will not take place tomorrow, I can assure Nigerians. And the police too have been deployed. We have enough number of personnel. We can only appeal to them to strictly follow the rules of engagement, so that there will not be unexpected behavior from the people. Just like my colleague who departed said, ESA started from here, and people who are educated, who are conscious, can resent violence, can resent oppression.
All right, let's look at election day itself. How do you get more early voters in terms of pattern in the state, or we just have to wait and then people begin to see that okay, area is calm before coming out?
We don't expect there will be problem, and just like I said, there have been advocacy groups telling people, including our group, the Osun Masterminds. We have contacted people and the atmosphere, and I want to also seize this opportunity to thank the police. The IG himself came around and assured the people that there will be enough deployment of police personnel. We have the members of the armed forces, the Nigerian Army. We have a Nigerian Army unit in there. In fact, just across your station here, the INEC office is well guarded. You can see armored personnel carrier and so on and so forth. All these are pointers to the fact that the people are well secured, and that tomorrow there won't be any need for anybody to entertain fear as to coming out to vote. Whether you come out early or there is no basis to assume that there will be problem.
All right, let's take our report, and because you just mentioned security. Now, apart from the natural mood of expectation, it seems every corner of the state has a form of security presence or the other. Some stakeholders from the sector spoke to NTA.
The security, other security.
We will let me still speak a bit to some of the things that we were talking about earlier before we get to the security report.
We will still rejoin our Osogbo studio. It seems they are having some technical issues that will be sorted out soon. So AIG he was talking about security situation, and probably it's a big plus for you, and we hope that that reflects in tomorrow's election. But he made a statement there that your men should follow the rules of engagement, in quote anyway. That is a word normally used in war front. But what response will you give to him so that he will be assured?
I just want him to be reassured that our men have been adequately trained, adequate deployments have been made, and we also expect citizens to also exercise their civic responsibilities, amongst which is ensuring that they also restrain their words from seeking to disrupt or some other vices during the elections, to ensure that they too are law-abiding.
Okay, in terms of collaboration with INEC, I know the Interagency Security Committee meeting on election security. The INEC chairman is the chairman, also co-chaired by the IGP and that of NSA. And so, how is the collaboration like with INEC in previous elections, and is there any area you think should be corrected?
I think it has been working wonderfully. It's as exemplified in Anambra, Ekiti, And we're about witnessing the same in Osun. I want to assure you that it's been perfect. So far, working, bringing all agencies together under the same umbrella, realizing that our goal is one, to ensure that there is a free and fair election wherever we've been mandated to provide security. We've succeeded in the past. We've succeeded in a number of recent. We've succeeded in Ekiti of recent, and we are now here in Osun. So far, the signs are very good. The police has adequately deployed. All other security agencies are also attested to from Osun Stadium are also deployed. It's been attested to that there's adequate security all over the state. So we hope that we've made enough deployment to take care of the situation. We are also seizing this opportunity to also appeal to residents of the states to ensure that they also are law abiding, avoid all things that will bring about a threat to peace, and also, as we say, see something, say something. If there are any things that are noticed that are possible threats to a conduct of a peaceful election, it's incumbent on them to also bring it to the knowledge of security agencies. We are very accessible, and we're there to ensure that security is provided adequately during this election.
Okay, let's go back to Osogbo. I think Fisayo, the issues have been addressed. Let's still continue on that line.
Much Mayor Gidi, I don't mind my green patriotic background. I just wanted to make sure that I imitated your natural green there in the studio. But let me quickly take this report before I round up from here. Apart from the natural mood of expectation, it seems that every corner of the state, that is Osun State, has a form of security presence or the other. Some stakeholders from the sector spoke to NTA.
He has been having meetings with the other security agencies, the civil defense, the DSS, the army, and all sorts. He has been having meetings with them. He even had one on Sunday, like I told you. And he also engaged the local security outfits, such as Amotekun, vigilantes. We have even two groups of vigilantes. There is one vigilante of Nigeria and another one is harmonized. All of them are with us. And also the hunters, the Bekoyas, and so on. We have been engaging all these people, and we have been working together. We have been working in synergy for a long time. And that is the reason for the peace that we are enjoying in this state. And that is what we are doing. We have been doing a lot of things. We have been making some strategizing on how we are going to go about it. And I know by the end of after the election, everybody will be smiling.
We organize a system here. We organize a session here. Violence-free elections in Osun. Barely a week now, and we invited both INEC and other stakeholders. If you have a son in the house, there's a limit you go. But the fact remains that if you are prompting and preempting them to cause crisis in this place, we will not fail to arrest you. If you are a political gladiator, whatever it's being called, then you have a problem with yourself if you think you can win a vote by making people to create crisis in the system. And like I said earlier on, we are there and we're also looking at them. We've been talking to them. Right from the various things we've been witnessing.
Within Osun State, that we have presence of military men in their uniforms, which means that they are there in order to protect the people. So from that, I can say there is a level of preparedness, at least that is known to the public, that there should be safety.
So from the perspective of looking at things from the part of security, it seems as if we the state is ready, and people shouldn't see their presence as a deterrent.
No,
just for the people who want to do other things.
The state is ready, and like I said, we just hope that the leadership of the security agencies should just appeal to their men and officers to strictly adhere to the rules of engagement, so that it will not even be from their own end that they will escalate crisis. But we are not envisaging any. And from the parade of the military, paramilitary, and police, the information has got to the right quarters that we have every presence of security personnel on ground and everybody should behave. Prior to this moment, Osun has enjoyed peace, especially compared to other states in the southwest Nigeria. So that's why we have called on our people to ensure that they are not intimidated. The presence of the security personnel is not in any way meant to harass them or intimidate them. They should freely come out to exercise their franchise tomorrow. Like you say, if they do that and they do it right, we have a better Osun.
In terms of logistics, where are the far-flung areas that may delay in terms of collation when the voting is over? Which areas do we normally get the votes to come in last?
The farthest place today is the state capital is Ifetedo. Ifetedo, after Ife, you proceed. Ifetedo shares boundary with Ondo State at where we like call it the eastern side. Then the La and Okela, then the Gomino also is far. But notwithstanding,
where does that border?
Gomino borders Ekiti State. So the two areas from Ila to Gomino are also far from the mainstream, but that shouldn't be a problem with the electronic transmission of results, which means even before the personnel will arrive, the result will have been transmitted to the INEC portal. But I must take this opportunity to warn our people that they should not just be declaring results, because only INEC has the statutory right to do so.
All right, and we've come in, to spend some time with you in Osun State, looking at, efforts to again bring in, the leadership for the next 4 years. The last time we were here, we planned on about 4 days and ended staying for much longer. We enjoyed the hospitality. Are we to expect another scenario play out like that?
I can assure you, Osun is the cradle of the Yoruba race. We are very, very accommodating people, and you will not
to stay too long.
No, you will not stay too long, because I won't be around the time around. Helena will come and be declared. INEC had promised us that it took them 12 hours after the election in Ekiti State to declare results. INEC is looking forward to declaring the results much sooner this time around. But if you intend to stay longer to enjoy the cuisine, the waterfalls, the Okela, the Ilefe, Oparomiyanko, you are very much welcome.
The attendants may have also gone to vote. But let's quickly, before we wrap up, look at, we've spoken about security, we've spoken about election management body. There are other parts of society, members of society, women, and we spoke about youth earlier. The women, and perhaps have they also been a part of this process? In Ekiti State, for instance, we had 2 women come out to even vie for the top job. I believe though they didn't quite get onto the podium, but
active participation.
Were there. What's the level of participation here now?
I can assure you that women will come out en masse in Osun State also to participate. Let's talk about the political gladiators too. We have the woman coordinator of the campaigns, and also the Yalojars, that is the market women. They have been very active in the electoral process. All the parties know the importance of these market women, so they have gone through the news and training of Osun State to ensure that the market women were.
Let you give us your final words, just like as we round up. Just a final words.
My final words to my good people of Osun State to come out en masse tomorrow and not just to vote, but they must vote right, because we cannot afford to gamble with the leadership of this state. We need to get it right, and getting it right start from voting tomorrow. And I want to assure you too that there won't be intimidation. The presence of police personnel, army, civil defense, just meant to guard us to ensure that we have each free election. So God help us state.
Thank you, Professor Mayor Ogidi. They say the Osun River flows forward, and so the state also intends to flow forward tomorrow with its decision. Just like the people on its banks stay at the banks, come out en masse to scoop the waters of life. Tomorrow they will be doing that with their PVCs. It's over to you, Mayor. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you very much. I think tomorrow we get you again. Probably you will give us an extension of the enjoyment you have in there, because you are hosts. Even today we're expecting some alert from you. Thank you very much, Sayo. That is on a lighter note anyway. So let's start with AIG again. This is going to be our closing remarks. We have just 3 or 4 minutes left, but it seems Prof there still need more assurances.
I'm so happy with the position of Prof and that of the PRO Osun State Command. It is evident that there has been a lot of engagement between police and members of the political parties and members of the public, hammering on the need for law and order during this election. A lot of reach out has been made, and this gives me assurance that the conduct of elections will be free and fair, without devoid of violence. The icing on the cake is the fact that even the candidates themselves have signed a peace accord. That gives us a great deal of assurance, because they are going to hold their supporters, rein in on their supporters to ensure that they do not conduct themselves violently. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Prof, the issue of logistics is a critical issue here. Beavers, we don't want beavers to malfunction, misbehave in this case, because the new electoral law says if beavers malfunction in the particular polling units, and if the ones even replaced are not working, the election in that polling unit can be extended, rescheduled within 24 hours to be conducted. And from our 2018 experience, where Kitty elections, where there was, Osun State, there was this runoff election again. So, what advice will you give to INEC? Because in your position, I think you are getting in touch with them.
Well, yeah, one thing is to encourage INEC to sustain the level of engagement that has increased the public confidence in the electoral procedure. For instance, the Beaver, they were tested, more than 5,000 that deployed, tested, and of course the chairman was physically there to get things done. And by extension, on the issue of logistics, there have been a lot of involvement. The chairman of the Road Transport Association, for instance, is a member of the INEC situation room, and I think that's an improvement from the previous.
Thank you very much. I think these assurances from the civil society and INEC, because we saw the State Resident Electoral Commission of Osun State giving us an assurances that all is set for tomorrow, and AIG also repeatedly told us no cause for alarm. So on that, I think we close this opening part of Osun Decides, and tomorrow do join us again from 7 a.m. All our programs will be featuring on Osun Decides, and please remember that INEC has given deadline for the continuous voters registration exercise on the 31st of July. The deadline, the CVR will be suspended. So you have exactly 2 weeks from today to make sure you get your permanent voters card. So with that information, we end today's edition on Osun Decide. Do join us again tomorrow morning. My name is Mayor Ogidi.